Hi, I'm Dr. Kenyon Williams, and I'm going to give you 3 tips and pointers that can help you with the North Dakota All-State Orchestral Snare Drum Audition. Tip number 1, when it comes to the piece, make sure you understand what we call the roll skeleton. That means how fast your hands move or what your underlying rhythmic framework is for all of your rolls. For example, in measure 2, you should be thinking of that as 16ths. In other words, if I take away the buzzes, and they should be played as buzzes, not double strokes because it's an orchestral etude, you should play the second measure simply as this. However, some people tend to approach it more of just a random, which means that they lose all sense of pulse and all sense of timing when it comes to the measure. So instead, put that skeleton to work and then play it now like this. And notice at the very end especially, I'm thinking all 3 beats. Apply that to all the rolls throughout the piece. One thing the judges are certainly going to be listening for is your use of dynamics. This piece begins with loud dynamics and ends with some very soft dynamics. So when he says forte, play forte. Don't think nice and strong, at least a 9-inch stick height. All the way through those fortes. Then, as you move to the really soft passages, when you look to that third line, for example, you go from piano, forte to piano to forte to piano with pianissimo at the end. So that first measure, notice the big jump between the forte and the piano. And then at the very end, when you get to those pianissimos, don't make life a little easier on yourself and go to the very edge of the snare drum. Just make sure you pull back out when it comes time for the mezzo forte later. So for example, if I start in that second measure in the second to last line with a nice forte downbeat in the 3/4 bar,
At MSU Moorhead, Dragons do.
We do more on campus.
We do more in our classes. We do more for our community.
Go Dragons!
Dragons do more. What will you do?
notice immediately to the edge, pianissimo as soft as I can play it with control. And then when I get to the last 2 bars, when I'm going to play that, I'm going to come out from that very, very edge I'm at, right through there. One more time, starting right in that edge. Notice not only the dynamics, but that molto ritardando, which means slow down a lot. Our third and final tip today is be sure to practice with something that is so basic, people forget about it all the time. That is, always practice with your metronome. This piece is all about steady pulse, especially with all those sneaky little rests near the last half of the piece. So make sure that you're practicing with the metronome and you're practicing counting. Now, that is the single most important thing beyond the metronome. Can I count it? A mantra I constantly teach my students is, if you can't count it, you're guessing. And if you're guessing, you're probably wrong. So when I look, for example, to that last 2 bars of the second to last line, I'm going to set my metronome to a nice slow pulse. Let's say quarter note equals 70. And I'm going to practice counting that. Here I go. 1 and a 3. E, up. And 3 E. E and. Now I'm going to practice that as soft as I can, but right with that click. Then I'm going to bump it up, maybe 10 clicks a day or 10 clicks a week, depending on what my practice routine works like, until finally I can take it at 120 and feel confident that I can count and feel it exactly in that pulse. Ready, go. Record yourself, watch yourself before those final auditions, listen to yourself, critique yourself, and see how good you really are.